Well, you're making a moral equivalence between...
Damn it.
Well, you're making a moral equivalence between, say, Christianity, which promotes things good for the most part, and all other religions, and Satanism, which is promotes evil.
Not a good role model.
And so, they should be able to put the statue up, and then they should be shot right next to it, and then we take it down.
Who hasn't ripped a baby or two out of its
If you try the baptism set, did you deserve it? It's from the Olympic one, so it contains almost no gun.
Jay's body's landing in place.
And welcome to Atheist Airwaves on Secular FM Radio. That's secular.fm. I'm Jay Guerrero.
I'm Luce Lum.
I'm Sarah Kiefer.
And I'm Christian Ferris.
Atheist Airwaves is Corpus Christi's only radio show for atheists and the secular-minded. We're sponsored by Corpus Christi Atheists and the South Texas Coalition of Reason. What are we talking about today, Christian?
Well, today we're going to be talking about the Pope again. It seems like we're the Pope show now.
Every week.
Every week.
We're going to talk about King Tut's penis, so that'll be good.
Hey, it's better than talking about mine.
Well, I guess we'll see. Maybe we can fit in both.
That's a joke.
Walk away from that one. We're going to be talking about the Boy Scouts of America, who are facing backlash for showing some acceptance of gay kids. We'll be talking about more stupid people, of course, but first, let's get to the Bill Maher ticket giveaway.
Okay, it's kind of confusing for me still, so explain it to us again.
Okay, so 4 times during the show, we're going to give them a question, a trivia question or a fill-in-the-blank question, and you will email the answer to us, and that will give you an entrance into the giveaway. So there's multiple times that you can get your name in the hat. If you're listening on the live show, the first one is only going to be open to you, so there's a little bit of a bonus for listening live. So I think Luce is going to give our first question. We're going to actually give away the tickets for the first time, the first pair next week, and then we'll give away the second pair the next week. And all of the entrances you give away, you get in the hat this week, next week, and the week after, they'll stay in there. So
The more you do, the better chance you've got.
Exactly.
Awesome.
And what's that email address, Christian?
It's god@atheistairwaves.com.
Love
Okay, so the first question is only for the live audience, and it is a Bible question. In the book of Numbers, God chooses people... In the book of Numbers, God's chosen people found a man who was picking up sticks on the Sabbath. The people dragged the man to Moses, and Moses asked God what they should do with him. What was the punishment that God decided would be appropriate for a man caught picking up sticks on a Saturday?
All right, so you people in the chat room, put the answer in the chat room so that we have a record that you were here, and then email your answer with your name and your chat room username to god@atheistairwaves.com, and God will forward that on to us.
After the Pope reads it, of course.
So apparently there's going to be more chat room only chances in the future, right?
Right. So the other thing we're going to do is for the next 3 questions, and they'll be spaced out throughout the rest of the show. The first person in the chat room to give the answer will be able to win an extra chance to enter.
Fantastic. I like it.
So you have to have the right answer. So Google fast.
Or just copy off your friends.
Right.
This reminds me of Geeks Who Drink bonus questions.
A little bit, only not as much shoving in the face.
Never mind, I'm not going there. Let's move on to that intro clip that we talked about.
All right, so that was the intro audio was Bernard McGurk, who is on the Imus in the Morning show on Fox Business News, explaining how he thinks that the Satanists who want to put up the monument in Oklahoma City should be executed next to the monument before the monument is removed. Can you even imagine the outrage if someone had said that about Christians in their Ten Commandments monument? This guy in particular, I think, would be out of his skull.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. If anybody had said that to any other group of people, there would be just absolute mayhem in the media.
Yeah. So Fox Business News, declined to comment on or apologize for what that guy said, and he did too initially. A spokesperson for the network, though, responded to the Satanic Temple's call for an apology by saying the network was not about to dignify Satanists by commenting on their nonsense.
One thing I really liked is the one lady in that clip said that she didn't like the statue because Satan's face was creepy. And I was like, well, you know what's creepy is like a crucifix of like dead, like whipped Jesus, like hanging on the cross. Like that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, that's extremely creepy.
Yeah.
You know, these are the exact same Christians who tomorrow are going to tell us about how persecuted they are here in the United States. You know, the very day after calling for the deaths of people for their religious beliefs. The other thing that I thought was interesting about that clip is that they were also saying that Satanism promotes evil, which is
not true.
He has no clue what he's talking about.
Exactly. I mean, it seems like I do more preparation for this podcast than they do for their national television show.
Seriously.
Absolutely.
Well, that woman kept saying that the point of Satanism is to be anti-Christian, but it's not. It's just not accurate
they
at
have
all.
done zero research as to what Satanists actually are.
So does anybody have a good kind of elevator pitch about what, like, just somebody encapsulate for me exactly what the tenets of Satanism actually are?
I actually copied a couple of them down. There are 7 fundamental tenets of the Satanic Temple. I'll just give a few of them. Number 1 is one should strive to act with compassion and empathy towards all creatures in accordance with reason.
Evil.
Number 2 is the struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions.
Sounds like something a libertarian would say.
Evil.
All right, that may actually be evil then. Number 3 is beliefs should conform to our best scientific understanding of the world. We should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit our beliefs.
Wow.
Love that one. Number 4, and this is the last one I'll give, is people are fallible. If we make a mistake, we should do our best to rectify it and resolve any harm that may have been caused. Evil. Pure evil.
It sounds kind of Jesus-y to me.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
Though he was a zombie, so who knows?
true. You never know.
Less brain eating on this one. But I just, in a lot of ways, the tenets of the Satanic Temple are a lot more moral than what you'll find in the Bible or the Quran or the Torah. There's really not as much cutting open women's bellies and dashing children upon the rocks here. So while Fox Business News refused to apologize or comment, ultimately McGurk did, and let me read what his comment was. And this is actually, I think, a pretty good apology. It's not a not apology anyway. He said, quote, "My comments were rooted in ignorance. Satanists do not promote evil a la Charles Manson or Hitler." Thanks, guy. "Regardless, I don't want to see anybody shot. That's the truth of the matter, so I do apologize unequivocally. I apologize for those comments and certainly withdraw them."
It was a good apology.
Yeah.
But these apologies, they mean nothing. You said it already. These public apologies in any instance, they drive me nuts because you clearly said what you said. Why did you say it if you didn't feel that, on some level?
Well, I've surely never stuck my foot in my mouth in public, ever. So I can't imagine anybody else accidentally doing that either.
Sticking your foot in your mouth and calling for someone to be shot.
Sure. I mean, it was an emotionally charged comment, and the
Okay.
dude is a freaking shock jock anyway. So,
Right.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
He didn't say something like, "I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, Satanists." He said he was wrong, so I'm happy with
And
that.
I can,
I'm sorry you're upset about what I said.
Right. And it's not beyond the realm of possibility that we might say something, and
Similar, like...
Yeah, I mean, so I could see how something like that would happen. You're on a show, you're trying to be amusing, and sometimes you're going to fail at that. So I'm willing to accept an apology. I just, I wish the network had come out and said
That's
the
true.
same thing.
Right, because the crux of this is the inherent hypocrisy in coming from a Christian position and calling for people to get persecuted for their own beliefs, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I don't apologize. I'm not going to.
So there's a really good segue from this story to one of the other ones, but there was a story that came out today that I think just demands early attention, and that's that Texas public schools are teaching creationism. and not just creationism, some stuff that is even in my view, even worse than that. It's crazy. So according to this report, the largest charter school system in Texas, which encompasses over 17,000 students right now, is teaching creationism in their classrooms. Apparently this group, it's called Responsive Education Systems. They have deep ties to creationist and far-right fundamentalist groups. They get over $82 million in our tax money every single year. And they currently have more than 65 schools in 3 states, with 20 more opening just in Texas alone in 2014.
Oh, wow.
So some of the gems in their quote-unquote science textbooks include stuff like, some scientists even question the conclusions concerning the age of the Earth.
Do they?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm sure some scientists think 9/11 was an inside job, but we don't listen to them. This has, that statement has nothing to do with what science says or how accurate it is. You can find a nut who does anything, right?
Right.
Anyway, finding one guy who will say what you want your goofy theory to say
Right.
is...
I'm that guy.
Some scientist phrase, too, is really, really good. Kind of shorthand for, I didn't really feel like doing my research, but I heard one time. Blah, blah, blah. You read it all the time in,
Really?
like, crappy scientific literature. People go, there some opinions state, well, okay, whose? Show me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It reminds me of the creationist thing where they started that list of scientists who dispute evolution. And do you guys remember Project Steve?
No.
No.
Is that
So
like
the creationists came out with this list of all of these scientists they could find who would dispute evolution, and the response to that was Project Steve, which was a list of scientists just named Steve who accept evolution. And it dwarfed the list that the creationists came up with.
God.
It was staggering how bad they dwarfed that list. So just Steves. Another portion of their text claims that evolution cannot be tested, which is just what? I mean, what do they think that evolutionary biologists do every day?
Right. Exactly.
So I don't know.
This is included in their textbooks?
Yeah, this is directly out of... So the direct quote is, how can scientists do experiments on something that takes millions of years to accomplish? It's impossible! Come on.
Are they trying? They just dismissed the entire fossil record.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we can get to that.
Carbon
too.
dating, pshaw.
I wish they would just read a book, just one book.
They are reading the one that they read.
No,
Yeah.
I wish they would read another book, a second book. Actually, they don't even read that one. They don't read the Bible. I've been having this conversation with a religious person online this week, and he every time I tell him what's in the Bible, he says, if that is really what it says, like, dude, you're the one who thinks that it's the word of God. Why
You probably have copies of it.
You're the Christian. Go find it.
But one of the things that it made me think of is, anyone remember Richard Lenski's experiments with E. coli? Because that just blows my mind.
No.
No.
Please tell us about
so
this.
I'm probably
because-
going to mess it up if I try and describe it in too much detail. But Dr. Richard Lenski's been doing this amazing experiment since 1988, and it's still ongoing. And basically, what he does is started with these bacterial cultures, and he has 7 strains, and he puts every day he goes in and he puts a culture in each of the vials, and then some material that they can eat. And then the next day they go in and they take a sample, put it in the next vial, and catalog the previous one. So far they've gone through over 50,000 generations of bacteria, which is the equivalent of about 1 million years worth of reproduction in large animals. And not only have they along the way documented beneficial random mutations, but they've actually found mutations where one happened that had absolutely no benefit whatsoever until a second mutation occurred that complemented it and gave them the ability to do something. Like, one of the things that they did was, they were putting in other things that the bacteria could not consume, and one of the mutations that they came across was they started being able to process some of the other things. In this case, I think it was citrate.
Wow, that's pretty impressive stuff. I didn't
Yeah.
know anything
And
about that.
So evolution.
Whoa,
Whoa.
woo, it's like scientific and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, you can't prove that stuff.
All right.
So I think that the thing that really interested me about this story is, you know, I'm sure you have some stuff that you would like to say about the fact that this teaching paradigm, or you know, these textbooks are based on a set of textbooks for religious education, and so basically what they did was they went out and they went through these textbooks and took out any overt references to Christianity and religion, but retained all of the same ideas. And then associated with that is the fact that in Texas, there's only a limited number of charter schools. There's 300 charter schools in Texas. So basically, the state's neglecting to remove these charter school certifications means that real schools don't have, there's not an opportunity for more, I don't know, scientifically rigorous or more secular charter schools to be able to actually educate our children.
Right. And I will say, you know, my own children go to a Texas secular school.
You wish.
Nice.
I don't know if we have any secular schools in Texas, but they go to a charter school here in Texas,
Sure.
and what they teach is actually very good. But this is the largest charter system in the state of Texas, which is just amazing to me. So an example of some of the other things that they've said is that, so one of their textbooks says, a lack of transitional fossils is a problem for evolutionists who hold a view of uninterrupted evolution over long periods of time. Every fossil is a transitional fossil, you idiots.
Right.
You know, and I'd also encourage everyone to buy a CCA, a Corpus Christi Atheist Tiktaalik shirt, because that's a really great example of a transitional fossil.
So I have a question. These charter schools, do they have something special about them? Because sometimes charter schools will have like a focus, like an environmental focus or something, or like a language focus or something like that. Is there a focus of these schools or no?
It doesn't appear that way.
Focus on ignorance.
So just a couple of other things. One of their quizzes associates evolution with eugenics and asks, you know, do you think we should leave, you know, people out to die if they're not, you know, whole people?
Right. Basically equating evolution with eugenics.
Yeah, exactly. So they basically ask in this quiz, do you think that if a person is handicapped, that we should leave them out to die, so that, you know, the human race can be a better species or whatever, which is great. This is one of my favorite ones. The opening line of their workbook section on the origins of life is, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This is in a public school.
Wow.
It's in a public school.
What about, I wanted to go on like a feminist rant when they said that women had to replace their male, like their husband relationships with science.
No,
right?
No,
No, it
it's worse
was
than that.
the dawn of atheism ushered in a paradigm wherein women relied on the state to act as their surrogate husbands.
Yes,
My
the
God.
government.
The government is a surrogate husband. Congratulations, ladies.
How do we combat
Sweet.
this? Like, how do we stop this from being a thing?
Well, I think one thing is to educate, you know, the populace about this. I mean, I think even, you know, there's plenty of religious people out there that don't believe that this type of swill has any place in our public school system. But a lot of these people, unless your kid goes to one of these schools and you're monitoring every single thing that they're learning in school, you may not even realize that this is going on. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. And, you know, sadly, you know, it's up to, well, sadly and kind of happily as well, it's up to all of us as citizens of this great state and this great nation to be vigilant about this type of thing, you know?
We're unfortunate because we have a governor, an attorney general,
Lieutenant
governor,
Governor.
who all would support this kind of thing.
And they all claim to be creationists, which I don't
Right.
believe.
Yeah,
I think that's a lie.
Yeah,
you
I
know, that's politics entering, that's religion entering in
They're
politics.
pandering to the stupid people that vote for them.
Right.
And those people are
Absolutely.
stupid.
Yeah.
Can
And
we
as-
just
as
punch
much-
them? Can I just go punch these people?
Yeah, you can punch them.
Now you're gonna
but then
publicly
somebody's gonna
apologize for
say
that,
this.
Jeff.
I'm not publicly apologizing. No. Sorry, not sorry. Come here. I'm going to punch you.
No, not apology.
Come here, I want to
Give the
punch
real
you.
apology.
Okay, so moving on from that, we kind of jumped topic because that
let's
definitely needed to be discussed. But the jackass who was talking about shooting folks and had to issue the public apology, well, that was over the monument that the Satanists wanted to put up in the Oklahoma courthouse lawn. Well, thankfully, someone is combating this. American Atheists, run by David Silverman. They are actually suing the lawmakers for allowing this monument to go up, and they basically say that it's illegal and it's unconstitutional.
Well, so the American Atheists lawsuit is filed on the grounds that it violates the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The ACLU had already filed a suit back in August claiming that it violated the Oklahoma State Constitution, which surprisingly is actually a lot stricter about this kind of thing than even the U.S. Constitution.
Right.
So, first of all, I really do support the American Atheists. I'm a member. I give them money. I love that they go around doing this, but I'm kind of bummed that we're not going to get a Satan statue. And
I am too. I mean, but I mean, all in all, it's a good thing. They're fighting this because it is wrong. It's completely wrong.
So there's basically two main points of the lawsuit. The first is that it is unlawful and it violates the separation of church and state for any religious monument at all to be paid for or maintained by state funds, which is what would be happening in this case. So, very cut and dry. The second piece of this lawsuit, I think, is really just I think it's a joke. I think it's totally tongue-in-cheek, and these guys are just being clever, like, nah. And that's basically these guys in this suit. They went through and examined every single one of the Ten Commandments, and delineated how the implementation of each of these commandments would violate part of the United States Constitution or the Oklahoma Constitution.
Should they sue for that? No. Is it awesome? Yes.
That was just for fun. It's just like a hobby.
Right. I mean, it's like, first of all, here's kind of the first part of the lawsuit is, here's the reason why there's really no legal basis whatsoever for these monuments to be on public property. And then, by the way, you're stupid too.
If you read the actual verbiage of the lawsuit that American Atheists filed, it's amazing because they go commandment by commandment about how they're unconstitutional. And my favorite is when they got to the 10th commandment, which is thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, and they object because it doesn't include coveting husbands, and so it would fail.
Equal protection.
They did their homework. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Silverman, he kind of summed the whole thing up, in at least the article I read. He said there's now a law on the books of Oklahoma respecting the establishment of Christianity, which is grossly unconstitutional. The legislature has broken the law, plain and simple, and we're suing to right this wrong. So the basis, even though it is funny, and they've got this, like you said, kind of tongue-in-cheek, was like, the basis is you're wrong, you're stupid, and stop it.
Right. But, yeah, too bad the garage sale is going away.
I want it so bad.
I wonder what the Pastafarians were saying they wanted to put up a monument. I
know.
See what they were going to put
I
up.
just wanted it to be a giant, never-ending bowl of pasta.
A big bowl of noodles.
Seriously, I think the garage sale in Oklahoma City would be a huge tourist attraction for
Right?
atheists.
Just like the giant ball of twine.
Right, yeah, exactly. And it would be just as attractive, but I would totally go see that.
Oh, absolutely. I would go as soon as we get the chance.
I want to sit on the Satan throne.
Well, that first clip that we talked about, that guy, the guy that said that, no, it wasn't the guy that said he wanted to kill the Satanists, but a different guy that was on that panel said something about it would be like a garage sale or something like that. Oh, well, if you put up one, you'll put up everything. It's gonna be like a garage sale. And I was like, yeah, that's our theory.
We need to use that for publicity somehow. I'd be like, hey, no, we were first.
All right, yeah.
The last thing I wanted to say about this was, American Atheist notes that the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th constitutions are actually commandments are actually laws, but they're great big giant laws. Like, we don't need a burning bush or a bunch of stone tablets to realize that, hey, I shouldn't kill people or steal things.
Or lie under oath.
Can I punch him, though?
Yes. That's not a commandment, thou shalt not punch stupid people.
If you get them to come on the show.
It may be a law, though.
I've never really been bound by those a whole lot. So.
It depends on if you're on public or private property. And who's funding your punching?
No, you can't
Funding my punching? Somebody's going to pay me to punch someone?
You can't assault people on
Probably
private
happen.
property. Anyway, these are
hold
not-
on. Well, I can prove this wrong. You're in the house.
I'll press charges.
Oh,
I saw Christian threaten you.
I'm glad Keeper's on my side.
We have a webcam. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. Anyway,
Yeah, but it's not watching either of us. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry,
I'll
sorry.
dive in front. No, okay. So anyway, let's move on. We'll kind of move on to the Pope, of course. I'm really tired of the Pope.
Yeah.
no, but he's so super awesome.
He is. And I know this is going to come as a big surprise to some of the fans of Pope Francis, but the brand new super awesome Pope is hiding pedophiles from the law again. He's so cool, you guys.
Yeah, good job.
Yay. So the Vatican announced that they will not extradite Archbishop Joseph Wisłowski, who has been accused of sex abuse in Poland and in the Dominican Republic, where he served as papal nuncio. Today I learned what a papal nuncio is. I had never
Teach
heard-
us.
That sounds. Okay, yeah. Please explain.
Oh, okay, so basically a diplomat. The word nuncio comes from the Latin word nuntius, which means envoy. So
Okay.
the more you know. So he's basically an envoy, which a diplomat, which means he also has complete diplomatic immunity. Nice. So the Vatican removed him and brought him back home once rumors started flying that he was molesting teenage boys, and calls for an investigation were made. Poland has subsequently asked the Vatican to return him so he could be questioned and tried. The brief and lackluster Vatican response is, quote, Archbishop Wisłowski is a citizen of the Vatican, and Vatican law does not allow for his extradition. New boss, same as the old boss. They are still hiding these guys, and I'm sure he's got a bunch of teenage boys locked up in his Vatican apartment right now.
It's like a giant pedophile hideout in the
is.
Vatican. I mean, literally, it really is.
Well, and you know, all the things that everybody's saying that are super awesome about Pope Superman is
We went
You know,
from
all
Pope
these-
Palpatine to Pope Superman.
Yeah.
I like it.
all of these he makes these announcements that basically boil down to, hey guys, like, let's
Don't be a
chill
dick.
out a little bit about being so vocally dickish. You know? So it's not really, I mean, he hasn't, and we'll get to this in a minute when we talk about the other Pope stories, but, you know, it's not that he has ever said, like, let's actually change,
Right.
you know, our way of doing things
Right.
ever. It's just, don't be so vocally crappy,
hateful.
you know, and so
It's
it's
a
like
facade.
keep it quiet. So of course he would bring in people that he wants to protect from extradition for these terrible,
it's a PR
terrible
thing.
crimes.
That's
Yeah.
all it
Absolutely.
is.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's a total facade of trying to repaint the image of the Vatican and Christianity, Catholicism, all that. But it's nothing's changing.
Yeah.
So I have a question about this. Has anybody figured out, and maybe this is just something I haven't heard of, why priests and Catholic leaders have such a hard-on for boys? Why not girls?
Well, here's my theory about that.
Uh-oh.
I have a theory too.
I do too.
Oh, yay! Story time!
Okay, so I don't know. This is probably we're probably treading on like unsolid ground here, but I think that there's a lot of things at play. But I think for generations and generations, the priesthood has served as basically a safe place for people with possibly socially unacceptable leanings or urges, right? And so if you were okay, so pedophilia. Sorry, guys. I hope I don't offend anybody, but I believe in.
Apologize later. Just
And
apologize.
I've read some stuff that kind of backs this up. That pedophilia is a thing that nature nurture. I'm not sure, but it's a thing that you know about fairly early on in your life. You know, and it's maybe this is a place where they can think that they can sequester themselves away
Gotcha.
from
Yeah.
these
No, that makes
ungodly
sense.
temptations or whatever.
You're getting affirmation from Kiefer. Do
Okay.
you know
No,
personally? Are you a pedophile?
I'm not personally a pedophile, but I've heard.
Some of my best friends are pedophiles.
Stayed at Holiday Inn Express last night.
I've heard like research to that conclusion.
Thank you.
So that was your theory too?
A similar. I mean, pretty much the same. That it's unacceptable to be gay. It's unacceptable to be a pedophile, and so they.
But why boys? I've never heard of a priest raping a girl.
Because there's
I
no
have.
girls
It's happened here in
participating
town.
in Catholic Church
That's a good
masses
point.
Yeah.
and
That's a good point.
whatnot.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, I think it's self-selecting. I think it's the same reason why you have a similar problem with the Boy Scouts, or you have had similar problems in the Boy Scouts.
I have.
Jay has. Predators go with where the targets are, and so if you're a priest, you are in a position of power and trust, and access to children, and people will trust you with their children. I still remember, this was maybe 15 years ago, this will tell you how long ago it was. I was standing in line at Blockbuster, and they were trying to charge a late fee to this guy, and he said, my uncle is a priest, and he returned it on time.
Oh.
Are you suggesting that a priest would not tell the
Turn
truth
his
about...
video in on time.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
probably didn't rewind it either.
So I mean, I think that's why they would go to that, is because they get
Okay. Well, sorry, I didn't mean to derail the conversation, but it was a legitimate thought that ran through my head when I ran this. Sorry. Go ahead.
So there's that.
So,
Yeah.
so let's talk about some more ways that the Pope is.
Yeah. How else?
Not
is the Pope
awesome.
Sucking?
Yeah.
Well, this week the Pope he called abortion evidence of our throwaway culture. He said in his, which I thought was funny that he said makes a state of the world address,
Yeah.
as if he's like the total. Yeah,
Well, he kind of is, though. I mean, he's like God's vice president or whatever.
right. He's authorized to tell us the state of the entire world, and so he said, "Yeah, it's horrific to even think that there are children victims of abortion who will never see the light of day." And that human life is being discarded as unnecessary, which he compared human life being discarded in abortions to people being wasteful with food and supplies.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Which is,
Oh.
Well, but from that perspective, it kind of is, because children, to the Catholic Church are like souls for heaven.
I thought you were
know?
going to say it's throwing away food because we.
Please, people.
I love you
If you could just send the remains to email us at god@atheistairwaves.com, and we'll come collect.
Yeah, I make a really great baby casserole.
But it's very condescending to compare a woman deciding to get an abortion to someone who's like, I don't feel like finishing my candy bar. I'm full now. I'm just going to throw it away.
Cafeteria problems, man.
Yeah.
I think what a lot of this has to do with is that he has to beef up his abortion cred with the conservative Catholics, because he's been calling, like we mentioned earlier, he's been telling them to stop talking about it so much, and that's causing problems for him. So he's trying to balance the PR job he's trying to do with keeping the faithful in line and not losing all of the crazy people in the Catholic Church.
Wait, there's crazy people in the Catholic Church?
One or two.
They're probably... Never mind.
Still, I would really rather him continue to do things like minimize problems that face real people every day than to see him shield suspected child predators from the law.
Absolutely.
I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
You can talk about whatever nonsense you want to. Don't hurt people actively.
Right.
Yeah, and you have to hold... I think, you have to hold the people that are the leaders of your church, your organization, to the same standards that you hold the members of your church and organization, and
Absolutely.
that's not being done.
Yeah.
Of course. Do as I say, not as I do. That's just kind of how it's always been for those guys.
If you're a member of an organization that believes wacky stuff, leave that organization. Don't support it with your presence. Don't support it with your money. Leave. You do not need to go to the church you go to. There are plenty of others. Or you can come to Corpus Christi Atheist meetups once a week.
We do some wacky stuff, though.
Yes, but not that wacky.
Oh, well, that's
We don't
good.
harbor pedophiles.
That we know
might,
of.
We might eat
We
babies.
don't even let MRAs stick around
Yeah.
too long. I mean, well, they don't. They choose not to stick around very long.
So apparently, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, speaking of crazy people in the Catholic Church
Right, yeah.
and the Pope,
Yeah, I mean,
We can't get over the Pope.
I think Satan is
Yeah,
spending
hard
a
on for
lot
the
of
Pope.
time in Italy. because apparently the Pope, I don't know if it's the Pope himself, but the Catholic Church is starting to train more priests to exorcise demons because it's an affliction.
This is awesome. I actually read this article and it made me giddy because it's like,
Really?
yeah, because it's like what's happening in Italy right now is that there's so many, I guess like, what's it called when you get demon
possessions.
possessions
Yeah,
or whatever, that they're having to like train all of these new priests to do exorcisms, right? So I'm thinking it's like the fucking werewolves
we can
versus.
say
We're on secular FM now. It's okay. Fucking is
Say
good.
fuck.
It's like vampires versus werewolves, right? And they're all gearing up for like a big giant fight.
This is
And
gonna be a
Italy
movie now, isn't
is
it?
like the battleground, right? Like ground zero. I think it's really cool. I hope this is true because I just think it'll make a great
Prove us wrong.
story.
It sounds like a good Dan Brown novel, but I when they tell me that Satan, devil worshipping is spiking around the world, what I think they mean is people are not being Catholics; they're being other religions, including pagan religions.
Right, so
or-
they're heathens.
right.
Yeah.
So and I mean, basically, the other thing I want to say is these exorcists are. I mean, they're basically LARPing, right? I mean,
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
They
they
just-
pretend there are demons, and they go in and they do this big theatrical thing, and
Apparently, it's not even that theatrical. I mean, apparently they just
Yeah.
pray a lot.
that's the other thing.
They just
like-
pray until the person just decides that I don't feel so possessed now. Thanks. They just keep saying the same prayer over and over again.
So there's no the head spinning and
No,
the
no,
vomiting
there's
and
no
the crawling
piece of-
down backwards down the stairs and all that.
if I go to an exorcist, I want some pea soup. I want some projectile vomiting.
Yeah.
Are there any exorcists not exorcists? Yeah, exorcists here in Corpus. Can we put this on? Can
I
we do
bet
this?
you there is. I'm
We need to-
absolutely
well,
sure there is.
We need to have someone get possessed and
We should. Oh, this would be great.
We're
No,
doing
seriously,
this.
We're doing this. The other thing that the Vatican is complaining about is amateurs doing
Right.
exorcisms.
Ah.
yeah.
They're not quote unquote properly trained to exorcise demons.
You know, I was actually a little bit impressed with the fact that they actually make them go the possessed person. They make them go to a physician first to make sure they're not just
Yes.
batshit crazy.
That is such.
I was impressed with
great-
that.
That is such a
That's
great,
good.
a great addition
Good.
because I mean, no longer are they torturing and killing mentally ill people. They're
Right.
trying to weed those people out and just get the people who are looking for attention.
But where do you draw that line though? Because
Yeah.
to us, these people already believe crazy things.
Well, I'm okay if they get a licensed medical professional to say this person's not crazy, they're just stupid. And,
Okay. Yeah.
And
Fair
then turn
enough.
them
And then
over.
now you can do your
now you
religious
can do-
shenanigans to the stupid guys.
Now you can take them to your little LARP party. At
Did you see the one guy who has a hotline set up for this?
Yeah.
Did you see his hours?
Yeah.
Open for an hour.
Well, because he spends all day performing exorcisms, and then at 9:00 p.m. he turns his phone on and he answers phone calls for an hour, making appointments for new exorcisms.
The trying to get through to that phone is worse
I
than
want
the
that
radio.
phone number.
Like, have you ever actually tried to call a real radio station, like
Right, to win
to win
tickets?
tickets or
Yeah.
whatever? It's I can't imagine if I actually had a possession.
Exorcism need.
Yeah, like I'm just like read out. I really need help.
So the other thing that struck me is this exorcist guy says that after he clears a person of the demons, he tells them to spend a lot of time in prayer, which is like, quote, taking vitamins
Yes.
after getting rid of a bad flu.
Yeah.
Yes, I was gonna say that because when I read that, I was like, yeah, but that also doesn't work.
That doesn't work. You need science.
Oh,
So I
yay.
looked up a bunch of studies. I just thought I'd mention one. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association looked at 322 healthy adults and found that those who took large monthly doses of vitamin D developed just as many infections over an 18-month period as those who took a placebo. Science, please. You're not exercising demons.
Quit being a smug
And you're-
bastard.
I'll apologize for being a smug bastard, but this guy doesn't know reality from his ass.
Well, there's another pastor that doesn't know
Yeah, this guy's. But
reality.
I mean,
This one was entertaining though.
yeah, this guy. Okay, so this guy is really going all out. So So if you're going to fool people with stuff that is fake, at least make it entertaining. And this guy does just that. So South African pastor Lesigo Daniel is abusing his congregation in the most hilarious way
It's
possible.
awesome. I love this.
It's honestly not any more crazy what you'll see going on out in televangelist shows or any number of crazy churches, but it is more absurd, I think. So this guy convinced his congregation that if they had faith in God, they could eat grass. So he took them outside to the lawn and got them down on their hands and knees, and they all went around eating handfuls of all that.
The sheep have become sheep.
Well, somebody posted as a comment under that, which I thought was really funny, that during the Irish potato famine, people tried to eat grass
Really?
because they had nothing else to eat and they died.
Although, so, I mean, I guess just looking at this from a scientific standpoint, you can consume grass. It's edible and non-toxic. It will not kill you, but you can't. Your body, the human body is not evolved.
You don't get
to
any nutrition. from
digest
that.
it.
digest it. I mean, cows have 4-chambered stomachs to handle this stuff.
Right.
The other thing is that it's full of silica, so eating grass just destroys your teeth too. And grazing animals have evolved teeth that continuously grow so that it doesn't matter.
Right.
You cannot get nutrition from eating grass. I don't care how much you believe in God.
So what else did he have these guys do?
That was I was going to say he took it to the next level, because while they're down on the ground eating all this grass, he went around walking on them.
Right.
I don't know why.
So it was like the whole. I gathered from this, like, the whole point was to show that if you were faithful, then, like,
You're beneath him?
no, I think it was
No.
like that God will fortify you in the
Yeah.
ways that you need.
I think I can't remember what the mustard seed verse is. Someone in the chat room maybe can tell me what that is. I'm not looking it up. But I mean, the point he was trying to make was that if you have faith in God, God will make it so that you can digest grass.
right.
Yeah, if God existed, maybe he could do that. But the other thing I just love is, did you see the after pictures of all the people in the bathroom throwing up in buckets and in the toilets?
No, I didn't see that.
They ran out of toilets, and so they had to distribute buckets because everyone was puking.
That's awesome. Can we just... I liked it when the idiots would get up on stage with a rattlesnake. That made stuff a lot faster.
Well, did you guys watch his demonic pregnancy
That one was
video?
the best, though.
Can
Yeah,
someone
it was
please
good.
describe this, because my mind kind of blew a little bit while I was watching this.
The demonic pregnancy video?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a woman who appeared to possibly be maybe...
She was sticking out her gut.
Yeah.
She had the standard
Yeah.
pregnancy stance with her hands on the backs of her hips and all that, and she was all pooched out.
She was pushing it out. She was doing a pretty good job.
And-
And so she claimed she had this she was pregnant with a demon, and then he did
That's
it.
what he claimed. Yeah, he said.
Oh, I
She
thought
didn't
she
say
was,
anything.
Yeah, she never said anything. He just said, "This looks like a pregnancy, but it is actually a demon."
And then she kind of like writhed around on the floor, and there was sort of like that scene in Game of Thrones, except nothing came out.
I don't know what scene you're talking about, but okay.
When she gives birth to the little shadow thingy?
Yes, yeah.
But it sounded like she was farting through the whole thing.
And then there was an after picture where she tucked her gut in.
Yeah.
She flexed her abs, and she was demon free.
Demon free. Is this like gum? Is this homeopathic gum? Demon free?
There was almost no demon.
For those of you who've been listening since the inception of this, you can go back, and if you haven't been, you can go
It's
back
in
to
the-
homeopathy.
It's in the intro now.
Oh, is it? Oh, it is in the
yeah.
intro now, you're right. Well, you can get the whole story if you go back and listen to the homeopathy episode.
The chat room came through. It's Matthew 17:20. Because you have so little faith, truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, "Move from here to there," and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you, not even digesting grass.
Wow. Whatever.
Whatever.
Whatever. Yeah. Ridiculousness. That's
the
what I
other-
call.
What is it about religion that causes people to lose all common sense? I mean, can you imagine any other context in which you could convince a large number of people to go out in your backyard and start chowing down on your lawn.
I mean, it's like a cult. You can drink. They can get them to drink the
Right? What
Kool-Aid.
is it about?
Well,
cults?
we're freaking sheep, guys. I mean, we all are. Everybody needs a thing to believe in, and when people feel powerless and people feel lost, they need a strong, charismatic leader to tell them that magic can happen in their lives, right? And so they're drawn to take these leaps of faith, right, that cause them physical, mental, emotional, economic harm, with this leap of faith that there will be a great reward either later in their lives or in an afterlife. I really believe that's part of human nature.
No, it is. Yeah, you
And-
need to believe and have some safety from the unknown.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. The charismatic leader and the great prize and all that. We've got prizes too. So, and our dear leader over here is fairly charismatic, although he's also a smug bastard.
Well, most of them are.
It's okay.
It comes from being smarter than everybody else
But
around them.
you can come see us too.
I'm sorry if my smugness hurt your feelings.
I'm just gonna punch you later anyway. So
That's my not
I'm
apology.
sorry if you got your feelings hurt by your perceived notion of me being smug.
snug, yeah.
Snug.
So, if you want to come see us, we meet every Sunday at Corpus Christi Atheist at 5:30 p.m. We are at Surf Club this weekend. You can visit ccatheist.com for a complete list of the events, southtexascor.com. You can connect with our sister organizations. And then, of course, now we're on secular.fm, so you can tune in there and hear our shows, as well as there's some other godless programming there. There's with the Bible Reloaded and Imaginary Friends show. There was, I think, the Pink Atheist and some other stuff on there, too. Haven't had a chance to listen to them all. But, yeah, it's pretty awesome. So let's get to this contest question stuff.
Right. So this one is open to our people listening on iTunes or through atheistairwaves.com. Do you want to give them the question, Jay?
Sure.
Because the other thing is that the first person in the chat room to give the right answer here will also get another entry into the contest.
Right, so we'll be keeping an eye on that.
So that person will get 2 entries, right?
Yes, that person
the
will-
chat room
Right.
entry and then the
So
email
email
entry.
us your chat room name and your real name, and we'll give you 2 entries for that.
So get your Google ready. All right, so we need you to complete the following quote. Excuse me, and this is from Susan B. Anthony. The quote is, "I distrust those people who know so well what God wants them to do because I notice it always blank." So fill in that blank for us.
And then email your answer with your name and location to god@atheistairwaves.com, and then God will psychically transmit that information to us, and we'll put your name in the hat.
Because we have telepathy or telemetry or whatever that shit's called.
Telemetry.
Anyway,
It
so...
really didn't take long to whip out the F and S bombs.
What can I
Sorry,
say? We're
Jesus.
heathens.
Yeah.
Did you just say sorry,
I
Jesus?
said sorry, Jesus. He doesn't like the F word.
He can F the F off. As well as... No, I'm not going to... How about you talk about why we're on Secular FM, Christian?
Well, first you want to... Let me start with this. Corpus Christi Atheist meets every Sunday at 5:30 p.m., and this weekend we will be meeting at Executive Surf Club downtown.
I already said that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Did you really? How
I
miss-
did.
Oh, you did totally miss that. I'm sorry. So for those of you in the chat room, I'm totally editing all of that out. And it'll be a secret between you and me and your friends. All right.
Cut.
So we are now on Secular... We were going to be on Secular FM radio.
We were, yeah.
But I wanted to make clear what happened with Corpus Christi Community Radio, because there's been some people saying some things that are patently false. And so I wanted to make sure that we just cleared the air and gave the real story.
And what is that story, Christian?
All right. So at the end of December, we are on the board. And to be honest with you, and let me say this right now, Leslie Sessions is the bomb. She did so much. I mean, you should see our mic stands right now. I don't know.
We're going to get a picture because I gave her an honorary green card because she has Mexican engineering. And I am saying that in the most proud way possible.
Okay.
Anyway.
I can say that because I am one, right?
Okay. All right, fine. Jay Guerrero, you can say that. All right, so at the end of December, we had a board meeting, and Leslie Sessions built that radio station, and I was responsible for training everyone who was using it. At this meeting, they asked us if we would redesign the website to hide the participation of atheists and the LGBTQ community. My reaction at the time, I was shocked because that was not the kind of organization that we were sold on, that this is what they were.
Yeah, they hadn't acted like that in the
Right.
past. I don't know.
Well, the fact that they had let us in, I thought was,
Right.
great. and
commendable.
I don't
awesome.
think they
Yeah.
have a problem with us. The problem is that they want to work with people who do. And that also was not what I was sold on. What I was sold on was that, and we had a lot more people when it first started who did nothing, and Leslie and I put more hours into this than anyone else involved, period.
Absolutely.
But what was said was no one would be allowed to be involved who had any problem with the people in this room. That's the organization I was sold on. What we ended up with was, so you guys build the bus and then sit at the back of the bus while we bring in some people who would, and the term that they used in this meeting was quote unquote freaked out. We were going to bring some good people in the front door who might be freaked out if they see a bunch of gay and atheist people hanging out in the bus. And so they won't see you, and then they'll work with us. Those are the people I don't want to work with. I'm not giving up every weekend to train homophobes and bigots. So in the course of the meeting, my response was, obvious 90% of the content that this station has generated has been gay or atheist of late. And what I told them was, the solution is to get the people who said they were going to do stuff to do stuff. You can drown us out, and there will be more variety. Right now, what they have, or had, was a gay and atheist radio station.
Yeah, they weren't producing any other content.
So I was pretty angry at the time. I sat on it for about a week. I talked to a bunch of people. I brought it to our organization and said, what do you think? Ultimately, we decided we were going to resign from the board because we're not devoting time and hours and money, because we spent money also, to support an organization that wants to work with homophobes and bigots. Consequently, they magically, a week later, decided that they were going to cancel not only our show, but also the Bisexuals United show, Gaydar. And they had nothing to do with any of this. They were just kind of doing their thing, whatever. And so I do want to say I'm really proud of our people and our organization, because it would have been really, really easy for us to do nothing and to just poo-poo that and just say, okay, whatever. Too many people just say nothing when others try to marginalize people either through their speech or their actions, and especially when they aren't members of those groups. It's really easy to marginalize gay people when you're not a homosexual. It's really easy when you're a religious person to marginalize atheists. So I'm glad we stood up and showed that we have some integrity, and that, to me, stands in stark contrast to their somewhat lack thereof. So, we talked about it earlier, and I'll say it again. If you belong to a group that harbors pedophiles or marginalizes people or has anything to say about groups of people in general that is wrong, stand up and leave. That is the ethical, moral thing to do. Stand up and leave. Do not devote time, money, effort, or your presence to a group that is going to do that. Not that this group was protecting pedophiles, but
Well, stand up and leave, and let it be known why you're leaving.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're saying the story they're trying to weave is much different from the reality, and it's hilarious because they're really, really awful at. Well, this one person is really, really awful at it, and I just hope that it gets told to other people, because I have great stuff in my back pocket that will just make it so fun. Anyway.
So I do want to take a second here to thank some of the people who actually make tonight's show possible for letting us use their equipment. Adrian, yet again, is the man.
Thank you, Adrian.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
using just about 90% of what we are recording on right now is Adrian's equipment that he allowed us to use.
He is so awesome. And I mean, I already said thank you to Leslie Sessions, but we owe her big
Absolutely.
time. And Josh Byerly, because he is hosting our new website, which you should go check out at atheistairwaves.com.
Absolutely. I love this. So let's...
And Jay for letting us record in his house.
Yes. In
Yes, thank you.
the beautiful downtown Flower Bluff studio.
Yes, I'm a Bluffy, and get over it. I like bluff. Anyway, so let's move on with some of the stories that we've got. This kind of ties a little bit into the, well, how about you tell us about it?
This really does tie
yeah, it
directly
does.
into it. This is what you should do when you encounter something like that.
It really does, yeah.
So there is a United Methodist Church in Indiana, and Adam Fraley was attended this church for 6 years with his partner, and was the choir director, and was being paid to be, I don't know if he was the choir director or the musical director, but a new interim, quote unquote, interim minister came in and basically forced him out. So he ended up resigning because he felt uncomfortable in the position, and about 80% of the people at that church stopped going to the church.
Yeah,
I love those people.
And that's what we need. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, they stood behind the guy that, he'd been there forever, or not forever obviously, but he'd been there for a long time. They knew him, they liked him. He was a member of the church, and this new guy comes in and says, "Well, I'm not comfortable with your sexual orientation, so you got to go." And they followed him.
They were. I love that. I mean, these are my favorite theists of the week. They really are. Because, the pastor said this stuff, and they just said, "F you, buddy, we're out. We're walking." And they did.
Yeah, they did. One of these guys, it's really sad that it had to happen like that, but I guess this guy's name was David Steele. He was important and integral in this somehow. I just don't remember.
I think he was just a member of the congregation.
I thought he. Anyway, he said it's almost like he hijacked the church. He's talking about the new minister. He's completely going against what the church body wants. I mean, all of these people were just like, no, he's a member of our church. We accept him and love him and whatever. But
well, as far as the United Methodist Church goes, I grew up United Methodist, and my sister still is United Methodist. And I'm not sure about this congregation, but there are congregations who call themselves reconciling congregations, who are open to LGBT people and things like that. And so I'm not sure if this congregation is one of those or not. I still don't think it's okay to be a part of the organization. I've had that discussion with my sister before. If 80% of the people leave the United Methodist Church, they might change their mind and change things.
Absolutely, and that's exactly the way to do it. Let your voice be known and stand up for what you believe in, and leave if you have to.
Yeah. And so on the one hand, I've just praised these people, but then I also want to condemn them a little bit.
punch them?
Too.
Can we punch them?
I'm going to punch them too. So, I stroked them with the right, and then I gave them the surprise left. So, they belong, it's a Methodist church, and they allow LGBT people to attend church services, but they say if you are a self-avowed practicing homosexual, you're not allowed to be certified as candidates, ordained as ministers, or appointed to serve.
However, it said that other positions were up to the minister's discretion.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, there was a huge, the conflict came down to what does appointed to serve mean, and the priest went one way and the congregation went the other.
My question is, what is a self-avowed practicing homosexual? Does that mean you're getting laid?
Good question.
Does that mean you're getting laid on the regular? Because, I know plenty of people that are,
Love how your mind works.
No, but really, there's plenty of hetero people that, are sad and lonely people, and they're not practicing heterosexuality in the carnal sense. Are they then not heterosexual?
I think the really the big part here is it self-avowed and practicing, or self-avowed or practicing? It's self-avowed. It's like, if you get caught and you're having sex with a member of the same sex, and you say, "Oh, this is totally not gay." This is.
It doesn't look like what it looks like. It's not.
No homo,
You're
dude.
calling me gay. I'm not self-avowing that I'm gay. So maybe there's a loophole they could practice. But if you belong to an organization that says you can't call yourself gay or be gay, you can be gay. You can't act on that. You're still supporting that kind of garbage.
Right.
Well, maybe for these 80% of the people, it was what they needed to make to kind of open their eyes. I think it's easy to overlook that when it's not affecting you.
Right.
And
they probably haven't had it in their face as a consequence of that belief.
Right.
Before.
And now they're seeing the damage that can do. So
yeah. So I applaud the 80% for finally taking a stand. And if you are one of those people who, I don't know why you'd be listening to our show, but but if you are, get up and
punch you.
freaking leave. Get
They're
up-
atheist curious.
Before Jay, atheist curious.
I need a T-shirt with something like that on it. I like it.
Dan in the chat room is calling them gynos, gay in name only.
Oh, that's
All
horrible.
right, so
So
let's
talk about some other
continue.
bigots and
Right. So the
Yay,
boys
bigots.
it turns out bigoted organizations actually have the courage of their convention.
They have the courage of the
Easy
conventions.
for me to say. So anyway, on January 1st, the Boy Scouts of America's new rule about allowing gay children into their organization went into effect. They still do not allow gay troop leaders or atheists of any kind, no matter what your age is. And there is significant fallout. So churches who have hosted troops for sometimes 100 years are kicking them out. Families who are leaving for other organizations who will allow them to keep on discriminating against gay people. And again, if you belong to an organization, my child, despite the fact that they won't allow my child to be in the Boy Scouts, I wouldn't be a part of the Boy Scouts, even if they changed the rules today.
You were a Boy
Yeah.
Scout, weren't you?
I was, but that was when before I was an atheist. I was a good Catholic boy.
History lesson. He was going to go to seminary.
That's true too. I was planning on going to seminary. That's actually how I became an atheist. I was studying, and then I was like, whoa, this is a bunch of horse shit.
Anyway, sorry.
This? Yeah, all right, so we digress. Anyway, about 30% of the churches nationwide who hosted Boy Scout meetings have pulled out.
So, and the Boy Scouts of America organization, are they experiencing any regret over that? What's the response to say, well, thanks very much, and we'll go to a community center or whatever instead? And that's it?
I don't know what their response was.
No, their response has really just been kind of neutral, just sort of saying, hey, we're doing our thing, and, whatever.
Right.
The people who are being loud are the people who are pulling out. So there's Peter Torrey, who is executive pastor. Ooh, that's a title. Executive pastor.
He's like is that like an executive transvestite?
It is. Actually, I think it's exactly like that. I've heard that once. Executive pastor of Pomona First Baptist Church, and he kicked out one of the oldest troops west of the Mississippi. And he said, quote, had the organization not made a decision that moved in an entirely different direction than where it had been for the last 100 years, we'd still be chartering them. Well, great. They stood up and they effing left. Good.
Yeah.
Actually, no, they didn't leave. They should have left. These people kicked them out, which is
Right.
what these kinds of people do.
And I saw there was a mom that her son had wanted to be in Boy Scouts, and she didn't let him, but now she was. And I just didn't know how I felt about that, because they're not there yet.
Yeah, I hate that.
They're not there yet.
Right.
What she said. What did she say? She said, she was letting her son go back in because they were allowing gay people in. It's like, well, they're still not letting gay troop leaders in. They're still not letting atheists of any kind in.
They're not really supporting.
Right, equality. Her point was, we weren't going to be a member until they stopped doing that. They're still doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, what low standards you have. It's like, 3, 4, pieces of bigotry is too much, but 3 is okay.
Right.
Ugh. The BSA needs to die, in my opinion. I don't even think that they can apologize at this point.
Can you apologize?
I'm not going to, but I can. The BSA, as an organization, has hung on too long to this garbage. I'm not even going to accept their apology. If they allowed atheists in tomorrow, I would not allow my son to go. I just would not.
Now, how about, because you said that your daughter is in Girl Scouts? I don't know,
Yes.
do the Girl Scouts hold any similar...
The Girl Scouts are very, very open-minded. In fact, there was a boycott that they tried to do last year of Girl Scout cookies because the Girl Scouts were letting transgender people in scouts into their organizations. I love the Girl Scouts.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
They like brown people. Some of their cookies are called Samoas.
Not anymore.
Oh, no? What
No.
are they called now?
Caramel Delights.
Yeah,
Yes,
Oh, they had to be more politically
PC,
correct?
Yeah.
I
Are you-
support that.
Wow.
As the white dude in the room, I support that.
I'm the only not white person in this entire building. You're the white dude.
He's only white dude though.
Okay, that's a good point.
That's what I said. Yeah.
I digress. Go ahead.
That's all I
So,
had.
yeah, and more anti-homosexuality news. So, Utah, that's an awesome place. So, there was a constitutional amendment in Utah protecting the quote-unquote sanctity of heterosexual marriage that was voted in 2004, and basically in 2013 it was then ruled unconstitutional by the federal district court in Salt Lake City. Basically, what Amendment 3 states is that marriage consists of only the legal union between a man and a woman, and that no other domestic union, however denominated, may be recognized as a marriage or given the same or substantially equivalent legal effect. So it was kind of big news just this past month when this amendment was ruled unconstitutional, and a bunch of crazy gays went out and started trying to get marriage licenses and all that stuff. Yeah, and then a lot of talk about the people who were unhappy with the striking down of this amendment, and whether that means that you're homophobic. So there was an article that this religious couple, and I cannot remember kind of where they're coming from, but in terms of what organization they, or whatever that they represent, but they wrote an article. Yeah, these columnists basically wrote an article saying being against marriage equality doesn't mean that you're against gays, right?
Which is horse.
And
Yes.
I'm so glad we're talking about this because I'm so sick of hearing people say that.
Yeah.
well, and
awful.
basically the bottom line is, personally, I'm not sure why anybody wants to get married anyway, but it's a different topic.
I can tell you. I'm so happily married. I can't even tell you I would not have it any other way.
Well, you know what? And I'm really happy for you, and
Thank
I
you.
respect your right to do that. So,
As a straight male.
but it's basically the idea here.
Being single is an example of the throwaway culture that we have in this
I'm done with you.
Yeah. Throwing away all those awesome orgasms. Anyway, sorry. What am I saying? Basically, the argument that this couple, I'll just say a few things that they wrote in this article where they're trying to say that we're not homophobes. We just believe that marriage should only exist between a man and a woman, and that the response to this was, it basically said, hey, we didn't go out and riot in the street the way that they did when schools were integrated.
Wow, that's so good. of you.
Thank you.
See how civil we're being? And we're not angry, we're sad.
Aww.
We're sad. We're sad for the children who rely on marriage as the only means to tie their fathers to their mothers and to themselves, preserving their historical and genealogical identity in the world.
Can I just say that anytime you start a statement with "I'm not a homophobe, but,"
Right.
or "I'm not a racist, but,"
Right.
that means you're either a homophobe or a racist.
Right,
Pretty much,
totally.
yeah.
And it's this
Usually.
idea that they're saying like, yeah, you can be gay if you want to, but you certainly can't be parents, right? But in some way, that's not homophobic, because I'm saying you as a homosexual couple are not fit to raise children. I'm saying you as an individual are not fit to raise a
Right,
child
yeah.
because you're homosexual.
But then
Right?
along their logic then, also like a woman who was in a marriage whose husband didn't have viable sperm and she got sperm donor sperm, that would not be okay with them. What they're saying, because it would not be the bonding of their two genetic parents.
Right. I mean, right. And so adoption, foster children, are Christians
Yeah,
like
no.
really into that? And, I don't know. It's just really.
It's anti-gay rhetoric.
Yeah, exactly. There's another one. There's another one that says another quote from the article where they say there is something unique, special, and sacred about the legal union of a man and a woman. Amendment 3 codified that principle in Utah's constitution. To be for it, Utahns need not be against anyone.
You know, this is just total bullshit. They're saying that if they don't hate gays, but they just think the law should change to they shouldn't change to accommodate a different lifestyle, and that is anti-gay. I mean, no matter how you spin this thing, if you want your laws to be based on a religious belief, to allow something for you and those that identify like you and your social norm, but not for anyone who falls outside of that umbrella, you're actively against those people.
Right, absolutely.
And man, legal unions are so spiritual. Something so special about laws.
You're treating them like lesser humans.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I mean, I don't know many people out there that would deny that their relationships, and especially their, you know, lifelong partnerships are one of the things that make you the person that you are, right? And so to say, you're fine as a person, but I reject your relationship and your union, you know, on a partnership level, how's that? Somebody please explain how that's not homophobic.
Anyone remember what the Heterosexual Awareness Month thing in
No,
the
why did
CCA Facebook page said?
No.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
I remember reading the page.
What did that say? I can't remember. Anyway, Dan in the chat room says, "We aren't racist. We just believe marriage should be between a white man and a white woman."
That is great.
Exactly.
Well, I like the counter article that had the gay, are you homophobic litmus test? And it said, if you have a gay friend or gay family member, but you don't think they should be able to get married, you are anti-gay.
Yeah.
Just because you have a gay friend or your cousin's gay doesn't mean that you're not homophobic.
If you think your friend or cousin shouldn't have equal rights to you,
Yes,
yes,
you are homophobic.
Right. And, you know, the one thing that I come back to a lot when I'm thinking about these kind of issues and any kind of minority rights issues, it was pointed out in this counter article that Sarah just mentioned. You know, and the author states, I always have to be reminded of this: we do not live in a theocracy, even though actually we kind of do. But the more salient point here is our nation is a constitutionally constrained republic in which the rights of a minority are not subject to a majority vote. Meaning there's a reason why we have a constitution that protects the rights, you know, the rights and liberties of people in the minority. This is not one that's up for vote. I'm sorry.
Exactly right. What I've been talking to people, and when I say people, I mean South Texans, about this week is they've been upset that Oklahoma struck down their same-sex marriage ban. Woohoo! Good for you, Oklahoma. And they said, "Oh, the will of the people has been overturned. You don't get to vote on equal rights. You don't get to vote on that.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry."
Yeah. Because, you know, we're ruled by a majority of ignorant bigots.
Yes, we are.
Anyway.
So
Separate but equal is not equal.
It's not equal. No.
I'm tired of this civil union crap. I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, well, we'll just compromise." There's no compromise on human rights. None. You get up, you walk out, you shut them down in the court systems because that's what they're there for.
And there aren't any solid arguments against gay marriage that are not religion based.
Right.
And we don't need that in the court system
We don't.
and our laws.
Because we have a constitution. Thank you.
So, well, we're going to get to our history lesson, but before we do that, we want to remind you that you're listening to Atheist Airwaves, and we are now on Secular FM. That's secular.fm. Corpus Christi Atheist is also a humanist organization. It's a good time to point that out. Humanist beliefs stress that the potential value and goodness of human beings, emphasize common human needs, and seek rational ways of solving human problems. We stand for the equal treatment of all people, and that includes combating social injustices, things like misogyny, racism, homophobia, and other such, bigotry. We like hobos. We do.
We do like Please do not abuse our train riding brethren.
I will punch you.
All right, it's time for another Bill Maher ticket question. So you people in the chat room, get ready. The first person in the chat room to give the right answer will get a second chance to win. Those of you listening at home through iTunes or atheistairwaves.com, write into god@atheistairwaves.com with your name and location, and you'll be entered to win as well.
Okay, this is a multiple choice question. Which of the following was not banned by the Taliban when they ruled Afghanistan? A. Playing music. B. Beating women with sticks. C. Shaving your beard. Or D. Owning a parakeet. Which was not banned by the Taliban?
I really hope they took care of the parakeet problem.
I hope so.
You know, when I first read this, I've been having a rough day thanks to my fun night last night. I read Shaving Your Parakeet. And I'm just like, hold on.
I think you pluck parakeets. You don't really shave them.
The more you know.
Okay, so Christian,
Before
educate
I
us.
get to This Week in Religious and Science History, we have a request from the chat room for a shout-out to Carbon Dating, which is a skeptical comic. You can get it in Skeptical Inquiry magazine and online search for it on Facebook. All right, so This Week in Religious History is about King Tut's penis. Yay. I have...
What was that look about, Liz?
Would you like to comment?
Nothing.
I saw the article. I thought we like to talk about penises. Let's throw it in there.
I'm not sure what it has to do with anything, but it fits in.
It's
rather nice.
religious
Yeah.
related.
So I have no idea how I haven't heard of this before. But Pharaoh Tutankhamun was purposefully mummified with an erect penis pointed at a 90-degree angle, which is very important to remember. All right, so Jay, cross your legs. But over the years,
Pardon me?
someone broke off his penis
Okay, I see what
and may have stolen the thing, which just goes to show you how it's true that one man's junk is another man's treasure.
Bad joke of the day.
I was so proud of that. All right, so Egyptologist Salima Ikram has published a new paper theorizing about why they did this to King Tut's corpse. Why did they give him a boner? And it's
Well, you
all-
take it into the afterlife, don't you?
Oh, that's probably a better. Oh,
Well, that's
man.
part of it. Yeah.
I gotta get plans for that for myself.
Yeah, if you don't make it into the afterlife with a boner, it's going to be really sad. Like eternity.
So anyway, all of this has to do with religion. According to Ikram, Tutankhamun's father Akhenaten had taken to destroying all the old gods during his reign and converting Egypt to worshipping Aten, the sun god, and sort of pursuing a monotheism compared to their usual polytheism of tradition. Tutankhamun tried to undo a lot of what his father did, and many of the details of his burial point to an attempt to link him with the Egyptian god Osiris. The researchers suggest that the erection was used to mirror Osiris's regenerative power, so it's kind of like an Easter spring thing. His body and his sarcophagus were covered in a black fluid to make him resemble the dark-skinned Osiris, and his heart was missing, as well as the traditional heart scarab that they would usually replace it with, which may indicate a connection with a weird story where Osiris's brother Seth cut him into pieces and then buried his heart. Tutankhamun is thought to have died around age 19, which also goes to show you that religious leaders have been messing with teenage boys' genitals for millennia.
Well, I thought it was interesting that I read a couple articles about this, and
just fascinated by this penis story.
I don't know, one article said that they think that because Tutankhamun came to power when he was very young, that it was more like the people around him that wanted to go back, and the priests and stuff like that. So I just
The
thought that
priests
was
who got more money per god.
right. Yeah,
Right.
So,
So.
if we have 20 gods instead of one, we get 20 more points. All right. I don't know how religion works. I'm sorry.
I want to know why you were so interested in this penis story.
It's pretty
It
fascinating.
is, I gotta say.
Okay. I think there's more to this story.
Why do you always want to talk about your penis, Jay?
You just brought it up. You just brought it up.
He's just obliging everyone who wants to hear about his penis. All
The
right, so this
people
weekend-
get what they want.
even if they don't want it. I've seen photos. Okay.
Not consensual.
This week in science history takes us back to the Soviet Union's space program again, and only this one worked, so no science failed this time for the Soviet Union. On January 15th, 1969, the Soviets performed the first space docking.
Did you really just make that joke too?
Yeah, I did. I've had a real weird day, okay?
Evidently.
Soyuz 4 and Soyuz 5 met in orbit and docked. They remained linked for 3 full orbits, while the crew of Soyuz 4 transferred over to the 5 capsule and became the first crew to return from space in a different spacecraft from the one they launched in.
Were those both male rockets?
No,
Well, they were docking.
It was space docking. It can't both be males, right? All right. Someone needs to go to Urban Dictionary. Okay. The combined capsules are also considered to have been the first space station in human history. So that is this
Nice.
week in science and religious history.
So it's a science win only.
Science win only, both times.
Very cool.
I just don't know what to say about this whole docking.
Well, all right.
So should I submit an apology now, or should I wait till after?
We didn't apologize for jousting and scissoring, so.
That's true.
We should maybe just make a list later.
That's or we could have an
monthly.
annual apology show.
Apology
It probably needs
fest.
to be monthly.
Okay, so another interesting news item out there right now having to do with sex is in the realm of education. Alabama State, which is a historically black university in Alabama, has a new president who is a single woman. She's in her 50s, and she's forbidden by her contract from having overnight guests of a romantic nature. Now, I did a little bit of reading, research on this and trying to figure out how common this type of contract is. It is, this is not completely unique. A lot of universities and kind of, more public office type, highly visible people in these kind of positions do have some sort of, riders in their contracts about various ways that they're allowed to behave in public, or also her house is owned by the university, so she's technically on university grounds when she's sleeping or whatever.
Do they ban sexual activity in their dorms, I wonder?
Well, okay, there's a few
Explicitly.
things going on, and that is a question that I don't know.
I don't even think the answer to that question matters so much. I'm just more curious than anything else. Because I mean, this is a state university, correct?
It's a state university. I think the real kind of conflict here is that she's. I think that she is the first single female president of this university. So I think this is something that never ever came up before because they were all either married or single men. And, we all know about the double standard of, women being sexually active, as opposed to men.
Men's sexual activity is to be praised, and women's sexual activity is to be despised.
To be shamed, right, exactly. Yeah. And so I Googled this woman whose name I cannot remember now. I was really hoping that I could figure out if there's any talk of speculation about her sexual orientation, because I suspected
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
I suspected that might be part of this.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
I did too. I assumed that they assumed that any woman
who's like 50s in her, she's
unmarried.
How has she gotten by?
Successful in academia. She must be a power dyke.
Has not seen her penis yet, so obviously.
Right. Well,
She would be swayed if she did.
her name is Gwendolyn Boyd, by the way.
thank you. So she says, I kind of went back and forth on this because she says, and the university says, and all these lawyers and whatnot that are involved in this, they're all saying, hey man, no problem. We're not worried about this one bit.
$300,000 a year, a car, and a house is a pretty ample sum of money.
She can go to her lover's house.
Yeah, I would hide my sexual relationships for $300,000
Maybe
a car and a house.
She probably can like rent some kind of like den of iniquity somewhere else if she really wanted to.
What really disturbs me is that, this is a state university, so basically it's the government passing a law about a citizen's sexuality.
Right.
I didn't think it was fair also because I think like if they don't want that going on, then even the married people should have had clauses in their contracts like
Right.
no like having a third spend the night, you know, like no like
Or a
No
list of-
cuckold going on over here.
I don't know, a list of positions that were not allowed in the president's house. Give us that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see how they're going to enforce this.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they're not. I think
Webcams.
probably my guess is what they're doing is they're making they are doing CYA in case some scandal comes up. They have immediate grounds to fire
In
her.
case it turns out she is gay. Then
Right.
you can get rid of her.
Right, exactly.
Just let her scissor. Sorry, I had to.
So, you know, I read a quote from a higher education headhunter who was talking about how presidents' roles are primarily one of image makers now,
Right.
and that is why they thought that this happened. How sick is Alabama or, you know, United States culture when an adult being intimate with another adult is an image
Disgusting.
problem? What is that? What the hell? And I can't guarantee you this, but I would be willing to bet a significant sum of money that this kind of thing has never been added to a man's contract.
Definitely
Probably.
not a straight man.
Right.
yeah.
So,
It's bad.
So,
Go ahead.
no,
go.
you go ahead.
You have more to talk about on
Nope.
this? You don't have anything more to talk about?
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
All right, we're going to knock that out. Christian, let's give our people another chance to win.
all right. So this is another question. First person in the chat room to give the answer wins a chance to win the Belmar tickets, one of the 2 pairs of Belmar tickets, which will be given away next week on our show. For those of you listening on iTunes or atheistairwaves.com, email the answer to god@atheistairwaves.com, and God will make sure that you are entered into the drawing. This is a Name That Apologetic question. The following excerpt from a 17th century manuscript is the origin of a common theist argument for believing in God. What is the common 2-word title of this argument? Your reason is no more shocked in choosing one rather than the other, since you must of necessity choose. This is one point settled, but your happiness, let us weigh the gain and the loss in wagering that God is. Let us estimate these 2 chances. If you gain all. If you lose nothing. Wager then, without hesitation, that he is. Again, email your answer with your name and location to god@atheistairwaves.com.
Is the chat room broken? Because I'm seeing very, very little answers pop up, and that one should have come up very quickly. Okay, good. So, email your questions in, and chat room hopefully will catch up here pretty quick. But we're going to go ahead and wrap up.
We've got a winner. LP beat Mark by about half a second.
Yep.
But he did misspell it.
Yeah, we'll take the spelling.
Yeah, we'll go over all the answers to the questions next week. And
Yeah, we'll make sure that if we made any error, somebody can call us out.
no, we make no errors. You apologize.
I'm
to me
going to
right
punch you
now.
with a Bible. We'll talk about Bible punching next week, guys. We got to go. Thank you for listening to Atheist Airwaves on Secular FM Radio, sponsored, of course, by Corpus Christi Atheists and the South Texas Coalition of Reason. If you have questions, requests, complaints, write us at god@atheistairwaves.com. And if God asks nicely, we'll get back to you. Don't forget to visit us at ccatheist.com. Check out all of our upcoming events. We meet on Sundays. Come out. Good conversation, rational people in Corpus. Come on out and see us. Thank you again to YGO for our outro music. And a big, big thanks yet again to Adrian and everybody else who's helped us out.
Leslie and Josh, everyone in the chat room, you guys rock. See
Thanks,
you guys
guys.
next week.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Good luck with the Bill Maher thing. That'll be awesome. And I totally don't have this queued up.
He put it on an ass, I'm the mother beagle. You're stuck in the past and it's dancing with me.